Man,
Just sent you a code.
why is this so damn? No.
Yep.
What's the code, Van?
No, it was
No.
on yours.
No, that was a Facebook. We're live, I think, aren't we? Well, I need the code. How do I get in here? Good looking shirt, Larima.
Thank you.
I like it. We're gonna have to get started. The lights are off of me. I look like I'm in the dark all the way over here. What's my code? Does anybody have my code? No code. I'm in Facebook prison. I'll just have to put the show over here. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. If you're on here, do me a solid. Like, comment, share the stream. Hey, I need a conversation today. That means don't sit there and look stupid. Ask a question. Do you already have a question, Feho?
Yes.
Well, hold on. I'll get it right to you. Before we get started, we do something every single day. What is that before we start the show?
60 seconds of gratitude.
60 seconds of gratitude. I've already started yesterday. First off, Larima. She, 51 calls. I'll give you credit. Congratulations. Hayden, 53 calls. You came up one short on your other goal. Joshua, 10 conversations. Andre, Andre, where is Andre? Had a walkthrough. He was just talking yesterday about how he's got to get back on track. He didn't make his target yesterday. Noah, of course. Hey, I tell everybody Noah's a machine. That's the dude hell I'm worried about. Hell, he might take over this company. You making me nervous. Are you trying to make me nervous? No. Maybe, but congratulations. I don't see anybody else on here. Today's show topic, in case you're wondering, Josh, what is the show topic, Van? The best money I ever made. And by the way, we have Austin Kepley up here, who is a young up-and-comer, major player in real estate sales, real estate investing. And I'm going to ask him a few questions. If anybody else has a question they want to ask this mine, fire away. Guess what my favorite money was I ever made, Josh?
Airbnb.
What specifically was the Airbnb money you're talking about?
That $2,400.
$2,400.
Last month.
Yep. That was the money, Josh.
And you'll do what? 30,000.
I'll do $3,100 in July, but I've had months where I've made $100,000 in real estate sales. To me, $100,000. But what made me happy the most, what I felt the most proud of, was making $2,400 for doing nothing. Why is that? Why is that, sir?
Because your money's making money and you don't have to work for it.
So I asked this question, and I want you to answer this question, Austin. Hey, if you're on here, share the stream. Have you shared the stream? Are you on there?
Not yet.
Everybody needs to go ahead, man. Share the
quick. Hold
stream for us. Would y'all rather pick one of the options? You're going to be given this at, let's say, 22 years old. Would you rather be given $3,000 a month positive cash flow from a real estate deal, or make $10,000 a month of earned income? Chase, what's up? How much?
Cash flow.
3,000 an hour. Why did you say that?
There's constant money coming in.
It is
You're
constant
not
money.
working for it. That's
But that $10,000 is constant. Make sure y'all know that, but you're working for it.
yeah, it's more time.
What would you pick?
I'd rather have the $3,000 without having to worry about working.
What would you pick?
I'd rather not work myself.
So you'd rather have the 3,000?
Yes, sir.
What would you rather pick?
To not have to work, 3,000.
Now look, y'all can't be lazy ass people. I mean, you can still go get your job. Okay? What would you pick? Yeah, you can do both.
What's the other option?
Are you here?
I'm
Hello.
here.
Would you rather get $3,000 a month of positive cash flow from a real estate investment, or would you rather go out and earn $10,000 a month with your job? You get neither. Hey, you got neither. You got passed up. Austin, what would you pick?
I'm going to probably surprise everyone here and say I'd rather have the $10,000 a month, because the $3,000 a month is not enough for me to cover what it costs me to live. I can take the 10, live on half of it, and roll the other half into investments. Then I'll get my $3,000 a month.
Well, okay. So here's where you may Lorena pick both. Okay. So how long? What could you do sooner? We're talking real estate investing. with Austin Kepley. How old are you?
25.
25. Dude's impressive, man. That's very impressive what you've done. So what would take you longer to get to $3,000 a month passive income or be able to earn $10,000 a month?
I think for most people, it would probably, if you don't have the right education and the right knowledge, it's going to be really tough for you to get to 3,000 in passive because a lot of people don't know how to leverage their money or leverage with banks to get the right cash flow. But most people can always say, if I work harder, I can get to 10,000 a month.
You can get to $10,000 a month. You're going to make $10,000 this month, I think. Is that what the stat shows?
A bit more, but yeah.
Hey, sorry to cut you short, dude. You're going to make over 10 grand this month, okay? That's a lot. That's a lot of money, especially for a dude that's, how old are you?
22.
22 years old, man. That's phenomenal. I think it's a lot harder to be able to go out and sustain $3,000 a month coming into you. See, here's the reason why this dude's over here. It's always been hard for me to understand how to make money. I've taught myself how to sell, but learning how to sell and making money are different traits.
Yep.
They're different skills. Like he was telling you a minute ago, now it ain't worth his time to go out and sell houses. He's making probably double the money off his other company. I talked to y'all yesterday about what I want to do for us, about how we need to find ways to multiply our money. So how did you make the transition from a salesperson to now you're really an entrepreneur that knows how to make money in real estate investing?
So I actually started on accident, is how I'll say it. I put my foot in my mouth. And it was 2018. I used to sell tools to mechanics. So part of when I became an agent, I would go around to all the auto shops that I used to sell tools to, and I'd visit with those guys. And I'd say, hand them my business card, say, hey, if you know someone looking to buy a house, I served you well in the tool business, I'll serve you well as a real estate agent. And I was sitting there at Auto Art Body Shop on South Church, and a friend of mine that I had built a good relationship with, he said, well, my grandmother passed away. We're going to sell her house. And he named another investment company in town. He said, well, they came and they offered me $110,000 for the house. And it was right there off Dilton Mankin Road, easily a $200,000 house. And I said, well, if you're going to accept their offer, I'd buy it for $110,000. And he said, well, if you want it, it's yours then. And then I went home and told my wife that we were going to have to figure something out because I just bought a house and we were going to get into this house flipping thing. So believe it or not, I had about $12,000 of extra money that I put into that deal. So I started this whole thing with 12 grand and went into it full well expecting that I was going to lose that $12,000, that I was going to mess it up. There was something that was going to happen. We actually did pretty well. We put about 30 into the house and sold it for 200. And that's kind of how it grew from there. Is I kind of accidentally got into it. And one of the biggest things people think when they talk about real estate investing is that you have to have a lot of money. And it's funny because we advertise that we pay cash for houses. Really what we're saying is that our purchase is not contingent on us financing the property. But we have in the last, 3-4 years, I've never actually paid cash out of my own bank account because money's cheap. It's easy to finance things. So people think you need a lot of money to get into real estate investing, and you really don't.
Well, that's probably the one thing that has held me back more than anything, because I've had a lot of opportunities brought to me, and I'm like, dude, I don't have the money. It's because I didn't get committed like he did into the investing side. I was committed to learning how to sell, but I was not committed into real estate investing that involves creativity. I say something around here. How does one become creative?
Commit to something.
Commit to it. Commitment, creativity follows commitment. So was that all it took, that one little deal, for you to become committed now to your new company?
I wouldn't say that. We went on to do, I think, 4 deals or 4 flips our first year. I think we did 4 or 5 the next year. And then after that, I really decided, hey, I want to get serious about this because I want to be able to, and it probably spurred a lot when I had my first child, because right the minute I had my first child, it became, I want to be at home as much as possible. I don't want to have to go out and earn that income every single day. And so that's probably when we got serious about it. And when I started to ask around and started to talk to other people and say, hey, look, if I find the deal, would you partner with me and put up the money? So I found people that had money but didn't have time. And I had the time to go find the deals, and I'd partner with them. They'd put up the money, and they were happy that, if they made $15,000, $20,000 and all they did was have to put up some money, that's a great deal for someone that, is too busy to essentially go find the deal.
So I tell y'all, what's more important, the money or the deal around here?
The deal?
The deal. You can always get the money. The money's the easy part.
Yep.
I turned down all these deals for a long time because I'm like, I ain't got the money. The bank ain't gonna give me any money. I'm tapped out. But what I found was there's a lot of people out there that will give you the money for the deal. I can go to a guy right now and he's going to charge me 10%, which is still cheaper than going to a bank. I don't know why I didn't think about it, but think about it. If you borrow $200,000 at 10%, how much is that for a year, Josh?
20 grand.
Damn, you're smart today. Okay, so most of the time, are you going to need that 20 grand for a year? How long would you need it?
6 months or less.
So you're thinking now about $10,000. So whenever you get a loan through the bank, you're going to have origination, closing costs. You're going to have a lot of things. It's just going to cost you a lot more money. So it's actually cheaper to go out and get money from somebody at 10%. How are you making sense? Clarissa, we do need to start a new division of GTT Entertainment. You ought to come over here and run it for us. How are you making sense? How hard is it to get a deal right now when the market has gone up so much?
I honestly believe it is a limiting belief that people say there are no deals out there. We'll have our best year this year in a market where there, and I'll quote, are no deals. And so I think part of it is mindset. If you believe that, even when you're making a call to a real estate lead, if you believe, they're not going to buy a house, they're probably not going to buy a house with you for sure. But if you are actively looking and you're committed that there are deals, that you just have to find them and you have to find the right situations, then I think it just goes back to a scarcity versus an abundance mindset. We're finding deals left and right, and I made a Facebook post yesterday that you can't convince me, I will fight till I die, that you can't convince me there's not enough opportunity in America today, because there's abundance of deals, abundance of ways to make money. And there's just, I think there's a scarcity of people that actually want to put in the work to take advantage of those opportunities.
So how do you make the decision whenever one of your people get an appointment set up, you go out and you look at the house, how do you decide what I'm going to do with this? Do you believe in keeping things long term, or do you want to flip it? What is your belief?
Historically, we've always flipped it. We are starting to hold some stuff long term just for the tax benefits. Not really interested as much in the cash flow because it's very tough, especially here in the Middle Tennessee market, to find anything that cash flows really well.
Now, do you remember my first
Besides
question?
Airbnbs.
Do you remember my first question? Would you rather have $3,000 a month of cash flow coming in, not earning it? Also, there's there's a lot of tax advantages, or would you rather go out and earn $10,000 a month? I'm telling you, I think it's harder to get to where you're bringing in $3,000 a month of cash flow. David Dutton says Austin doesn't even work there. Well, we got a guy that does not actually work here, that works here every day, but he does not actually work here. He said you are killing it. David Dutton, we had him in here.
Thank you, David Dutton.
Did you watch the show with him?
I did.
Yeah.
David Dutton's a very, very intelligent person. And
Yes, he is.
especially with marketing. Anytime I can get around him, it normally helps our marketing.
It does. All you got to do is get around people. That's why I pay a lot of money to get around people. It's amazing what you can pick up just by being around. He was here for probably maybe an hour that day, maybe, and it's just amazing what you can take away from it, but you need to constantly keep doing that. So to get back to this, it's harder, I believe, to get to where you're bringing in that much cash flow.
It's very tough. A lot of people in here know David Criswell, and if he's watching, I'm going to call him out on this.
Call that man out. Is he on here?
I think he won't ever take credit for it as successful as he is, but I think he owns 50-something
It's up there. Yep.
maybe 60 now.
Maybe more.
And even he will tell you that it is such a long-term game. Yes, there is monthly cash flow that he's able to help supplement his income, but I think I saw him mention the other day that the majority of his income still comes from flipping houses, not from the rentals, because the rentals are such a long-term play. And so when you look at someone that's got 60 plus rentals,
60 plus.
60 plus, then and even at that scale, and I know that he's not over leveraged. I know him very well. I know he cash flows on his properties, but for someone to say at that scale, hey, the cash flow isn't really what I'm in it for, it's a long-term appreciation / retirement play, that really changes things, and that changes kind of your perspective on rentals, because a lot of people, you're naturally, if you follow Grant Cardone or any other person, they're preaching cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, and then you speak to someone on the ground that's kind of speaking, a different language, and it'll change your perspective.
Well, I have become a big believer in making cash flow when you're not working. Like you're not doing anything to earn that money, because it's hard to scale things. That is one thing that I've really struggled with, is how do you take something that's small and get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger? Because most of my life when I was buying real estate, the banks would look at like, well, you're not making enough money off this to just keep buying things, So that's why the Airbnb worked for me. I texted Criswell the other day and asked him about his Airbnbs. But, now whenever I buy something, I want to hold it, and I want it to bring in at least $2,000 a month of free cash flow. Now, you may have to put more money down. You may have to put more money for that to make sense, but it's very, very hard to get to the point in your life where you're bringing in that amount of money. You've shown you can go out and you can make $10,000. How long have you been working here?
7 months.
7 months. You made $10,000. Hey, it may have taken me 10 years to get that amount, but I'm slow. But the one thing that I want everybody that's around me to get access to is, how do we get better at making money? So what are how have you gotten better? At your age, at anyone's age, the amount of money that Austin is making, he grew up around an uncle that is just a damn hustler, Matt Sledge. That guy just knows how to create money. So your brain, you kind of grow up and you adapt ideas. You adapt, you got to work hard for money, or you figure out ways to make money. What has been who's been your best mentor on understanding how you make money?
I've got a lot of different mentors. So obviously my uncle was one. He flips cars. To this day, I still flip cars. Sometimes my wife tells me that it is the worst income generating activity I could do, because I could do real estate, but it's kind of a habit I can't kick. But I've always, and I think what's helped with my success is having mentors in different areas. So obviously my uncle's been a great mentor. David's been a great mentor. John Jones has been a great mentor for me with land development. So anytime that I wanted to get into something, I've always went to whoever I thought was kind of the top of their field and said, hey, how can I bring you value? And if I bring you value, will you teach me what you know? So about a year ago, I wanted to get into land development, buying lots and selling them off to builders. And so I walked into John's office. John really didn't know me that well at the time.
I remember when he met you, and he's like, man, that dude's impressive.
Yeah.
He's like, I guarantee you he's going to be a millionaire. He's like, he's going to be rich.
I walked in and I said, look, I don't know anything about this. I'm probably going to waste a lot of your time because I don't know what I'm looking for in land. But if I just keep bringing you land, will you just tell me if it works or if it doesn't? Tell me why. And then from there, if I bring you a deal, will you partner with me? And we've done, I think, 2 deals now. Both of them, John's made great money. I've made great money. And I'm sure that it's been well worth his time to teach me, because obviously it's brought him more income as well.
So for my guys in here, and girls, excuse me, what would you tell them? How do you get started in this? What would you do to just get started? What would be your one thing that you would tell them on, here's what you just need to do?
I think your number one takeaway is to remove those limiting beliefs that there are no deals and that there is no money, essentially, and that you don't have the money to do it. Quite honestly, we bought 2 last week that of my own money, I wrote a $1,300 check. That's it. And so you're making $10,000 a month. You could probably start flipping houses today if you find the right partners that will help you fund it. Because once you create a good track record that you do what you say you're going to do, you return your money to your investors, and you do it on the timeline that you said you would do it, then you almost tap into unlimited money. I don't want to use the word unlimited, but it quite practically is unlimited money. So the other thing is that there are no deals. The crazy thing is one of the properties that we bought last week that I'm keeping as a rental, an agent had a listing on it, and they didn't think it was a deal because it needed work. And so we looked at it from a different lens, looked at it as keeping it as a rental, and it was a great deal. But some people don't see a deal when it hits them. They don't see opportunity.
That's right.
when
Well,
it
they don't
shows
have the
up.
vision for it. And that's where I've been stuck. David Dutton, 100% true. Money is everywhere. David Dutton, people looking for opportunity and belief in people like Austin. Did you have a question, Feho?
Yes, I have a question. Would you rather have the skill to be able to find deals like that, or have the connections to people who would partner with you?
Skill to be able to find the deals. So I put
Good
it
question.
out,
Good question.
I put it out to everyone that if you'll bring me a deal, I'll partner with you. The same way that a lot of my mentors have done with me, I pass that along. So find a house that we can flip. I'll put up the money. I'll split it with you 50-50. And essentially the deal is the most valuable part of any real estate investment. The rest of it doesn't really matter. It's all just supplementary. But it's the same as you don't have a real estate transaction without a buyer or a seller. You don't have a investment opportunity without a deal. So you can have all the money in the world, you can have the best lenders, the best title companies, but if you don't have someone who actually wants to transact in real estate, then you're not going to make any money.
Question.
Yeah.
From the time you started to where you're at now, what's one of your biggest challenges that you've had?
Hiring and scaling. I've always been one to believe that if I wanted it done right, I should do it myself. And just this year, we started to hire. So to give you an idea, as I'm sitting here, I have a guy sitting in an office working on finding deals. I have another guy at a house right now cleaning it out, and all of them work for me. So I wouldn't have got to where I am this year, especially, or seen the growth I've seen this year without hiring, and it was my biggest fear, honestly. That, and then we're just I preach it over and over again, but removing the limiting beliefs that, well, I don't have the money, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, because you can always find the money when you have the right deal.
Here's how you can overcome a lot of your limiting beliefs. In my opinion, it's learning to invest in yourself first. A lot of people want to go out and invest in a deal,
Yep.
but I would tell you, man, invest in yourself first. Because whenever you learn to invest in yourself first, you build confidence and you begin to trust yourself more. So like what Austin is saying, I mean, it was hard for me for 10 years to ever hire somebody. But I did hire somebody, and that was about the time I really, really, really got serious about my personal development. Because of all the things that I've invested in myself, it's given me more belief to invest in more people. So I tell you guys all the time, man, invest in yourself.
And I think part of it is, it's my wife always makes fun of me because I don't really listen to music in the car. It's always a podcast of some sort, and it's mostly on investing. And sometimes I'll listen to it and I get no value out of it, and sometimes I'll listen to it and I'll get one little nugget that can help me forever change how I run my company. But the thing is that you're always learning and always trying to get around people who are doing bigger and better things. I think one of the best things for us was to connect with a few other people that were doing $1 million plus in revenue every year, and even just having lunch with them and pulling one nugget away has helped our business grow. And I can't preach enough the power of getting around people that do bigger things and that can help you expand your mind and really remove those limiting beliefs.
But he's talking about these podcasts. That's commitment. I'll always listen to the podcast, okay? Even if he takes away nothing from that podcast, the more he listens to things, the more creative he'll become.
It sucks
What does?
to listen to podcasts. That's how I recently made that decision.
Why does it suck?
I feel like you get so used to doing something that you like to do, like listening to music, but then you change it.
Yeah, but it's a choice.
Yeah.
A podcast is something that expands your mind. The music is
Dumb.
Well, no, it's just something in the moment.
Well, and that's the thing is that music will, the tough part, and there's some podcasts, I will be honest, I can't listen to because you might as well listen to, I mean, I'd rather listen to Morgan Freeman read the dictionary than some podcasts. So, but the thing I like about podcasts a lot of times, and I feel like the same thing happens when you read a book where if you've ever read a book and you don't realize, but while you're reading the book, you're sitting there thinking about something, thinking about your business or thinking about how you can, you're taking something from the book and immediately you're kind of processing that. And I feel like the same thing happens with a podcast or an audiobook versus, music is kind of a mind-numbing thing. You don't really think about it. Your brain kind of disengages. And a podcast kind of forces you to critically think about your business, how you can make changes, and how you can structure it around what that person's doing. Now, every podcast, like I said, you're not going to take something from every podcast, but it can take.
But see,
one
I
podcast
believe
to
you are taking something from every podcast. It's just like every workout you do. You may not feel like you had any gains, but you're gaining. You're feeding your brain. Like what happens when you stop listening to something? David Dutton, hey, I appreciate all your comments. He ain't lying on leveling up your connections. David Dutton was in here. He's talking about when he brought Daryl Strawberry into his house. That's something that Coach Burt does all the time. He brings big time people around, and you go get around that person. Does anybody have any questions? Because we got a meeting we got to get to. Do we have any last second questions for this man before we go off air?
So you say you started with what, 12, 13,000?
the cash to fund my first deal was $12,000, and if I would have
60?
known what I knew now, my cash would have been zero.
Mm-hmm.
I would have found someone to fund the $12,000.
How much you make off that first deal?
I think we made about 30 on it, on the first deal. But yeah, I mean, there's people. I've got people that don't quite have as much cash to lend to fund an entire project. But if you'll go get the financing, we call it funding the gap. Essentially, they'll cover whatever your cash to close is. So they may say, hey, I'm going to lend you 12, and in 6 months you're going to pay me back 14. So you give up $2,000 of your profit, but then you're zero money in the deal. And so we're in multiple deals, and we've been in multiple deals where I'm zero money in it because I brought the deal or I knew how to structure it, and we've done creative finance to have no money in the deal. But you can absolutely get started real estate investing with no money.
So how can people get more access to you? Do you put stuff out there where they can follow and just you can mentor some people even if you're never around them? So what's the best place to find you?
I need to be more active on all social media. Mostly I'm on Facebook, and I'm pretty much an open book on anything. I'll share exactly how we came up, exactly what processes we use. I really don't mind. Everything I know, I didn't create any of it. I stole it. I say stole it. Someone taught it to me. So
Most of the time, the people I know that are successful, they're just like that. They're going to tell you things. I get really I raise my eyebrows at the people that won't share what they know. Because that indicates something to me. Maybe they don't know what I think they know, but I mean, because knowing things and doing things are not the same. You do have to know things, but it's probably more important to do things, because if you'll commit to doing things, you'll start finding creative ways to make sense of things. Also, I appreciate you coming in here. My guys and girls are around here. If you have any questions after this, stick around, and we'll ask them some. I got to get over to our company meeting. Everybody, thank you for getting on. If you do me a favor, one last time, share the damn stream. Have a great day.